Oh, wrong. Bad intro. Sorry. What's up, everybody? Shawn here with another live Live to Roll. This week we got a really cool show for you guys. Really awesome guest here. So we'll get into some quick intros and let Tony kind of get into his story and what he's about. So I'm Shawn. I'm a C5, C6 quadriplegic from a snowboarding accident 19 years ago. Bobby, why don't you go for it? Then we'll
Yeah,
let Tony.
sounds good. Same as Tom, C5, C6 from not a snowboard, but bicycle, regular bicycle on a training ride 34 years ago. How about you, Tom? Take it away.
What's up, everybody? I'm Tom Conaway. I am a C6B quadriplegic from an automobile accident 26 years ago. And I'm excited for today's show. We have awesome guests. Our buddy Tony Jacobsen. We met Tony, I believe it was at the LA Abilities Expo last March, where we got a chance to just talk and conversate and realize that we got a lot of overlap in our outreach and the message we want to share and how we want to help motivate and empower one another. And Tony's doing a whole lot of that in a lot of different ways. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about his story and everything he's doing to help empower the disabled community and help individuals discover their power and their ability. Even something, the power that disability offers. So we're excited. Tony, thank you so much for being here. I know it was a little too long before we got you on the show, but we're really excited that we were able to make it happen today. And do you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, no problem. First of all, thank you so much. Good things come to those who wait. And so this timing is perfect and it's exactly how it should be. So thank you guys so much for having me on today. I'm excited. My name is Tony Jacobsen. Thank you so much again. Now, my story goes way back. I was born with my disability. It's called osteogenesis imperfecta. Go ahead and say that 5 times fast. I'll wait. It's basically brittle bones disease. So I was born with, I wasn't born with any broken bones, but I broke my first leg, my leg the first time when I was like about 1.5 years old. And then after that, started steady breaking probably every 3 to 6 months. So I basically, lived with fracturing all through my life. And I've had about 75-ish fractures, something like that. And I've had 12 surgeries. I like to call this my fabulous 4. So it's like how many breaks that I've had. I've had about 75. I have OI type 1, which is basically a mild form of OI. And then I've had 12 surgeries. I have steel rods in both my femurs and my tibias. And let's see. Yeah, that's my 4. My type, my breaks, my hardware, and surgeries. So yeah, I've been through the ringer. I used a wheelchair when I was a kid. I walked on crutches like in my teens. And I started walking actually unassisted when I turned 24. So
You mind if I ask you a real quick question? So,
yeah.
so I have a better picture of breaking your bones and 75 times. So, are those from like you're just trying to get up and fall and then boom, it's broken, or get up and then it breaks, or and is it affecting your arms or just your lower torso?
Yeah, the breaks happened all sorts of ways. So it could have been just from bumping something. I have broken my arms, broken my collarbones, my scapula. That's pretty much it for my upper body. Most of it's been in my lower extremities. But the breaks have happened all sorts of ways. So from doing something more extreme, like falling, or sometimes I broke just by taking a step the wrong way, or by trying to lean over and putting too much weight on my arm. That's caused breaks before. With OI, it can be all different, and depending on the severity of OI too. But for me, it was pretty, yeah, just basic stuff I would break pretty easily. Then later on, as I got older and I wasn't fracturing as much, then it would take like a fall or a slip, like something kind of major to break. The last bone I broke was, gosh, when I was 30, in my 30s, mid 30s. I'm 52 now. So it's been 20 years since I broke something, right? Yeah, knocking on all the wood. And so yeah, but that's because I've been, I changed my whole lifestyle. So I'm like very aware of making sure I don't break now. So that's like the second half of my story. But yeah, that's kind of how the breaks happened.
There's two things that kind of really struck me about your story and stuff. One, I grew up with my disability too. I wasn't born with it, but it was pretty early onset in my life. So I, was navigating most of my adolescence, using a chair, going through public school, using assistive devices and all of that. So I am really curious. To kind of ask you a little bit about that, about your experience growing up with your disability. How was your experience? Did you face a lot of adversity? And how you kind of overcame all that? And the other thing that I really would love to talk to you about a little bit more too is your experience aging with disability. It's something that we talk about a lot on the Live to Roll show. It's a topic that isn't discussed much amongst, I think, doctors and medical professionals and things like that in terms of like a structure or regimen or how to best go about taking care of yourself as you age and continue to age with your disability. And it sounds like you've done a really incredible job at that in changing your lifestyle and taking care of yourself and figuring out how to navigate it the best you can, and also help motivate and empower one another. So just to kind of start, how was your experience growing up with your disability?
Yeah, growing up with it was all the basic stuff. So, kids are mean and kids are bully, and then, find someone in a wheelchair and it gets even worse. So, like I had my friends that would, you know, just totally treat me that like I didn't have a disability. But I mean, I went through the ringer of dealing with bullies and with kids that were, would treat me poorly and like physically try and hurt me. And that was even harder because, I would break easy, and I'd break really easy, especially during the times like when I was using a chair at school. And I remember times when, gosh, I never broke anything by from being bullied, but I remember having broken spirits for many years, just dealing with everything that comes along with it. Because as you know, just trying to navigate the world, you're just trying to figure that out, and then having to deal with the pressures of socially what you go through as a kid in school. It's just an added layer that is a very tough thing to try and navigate. So like when I was going through things, there weren't any programs, as I'm sure there are now, a lot more programs available to kids with disabilities to be able to help them, to show them, to guide them, to give them like older folks saying, hey, you're going to get through this, some motivation, some inspiration. Back when I was going through school, there really wasn't anything like that. And I didn't really know too many other kids with disabilities at the time either. So that was another kind of tough thing for me as I was growing up, because I was having to deal with it all on my own and trying to figure it out. So during my childhood, I mean, I stuck to myself pretty much. I was a loner. I couldn't really do things physically, so I played a lot of video games. My imagination, I think I attribute that to my creativity and imagination and my love for television, movies, music, writing. Like all of that, I think comes from my inability to go outside and go play with my friends and play with my brother and my sister and like do those physical things. So I attribute a lot of that to my positive skills and things of that nature to going through that as well.
You know, you and I are the same age, Tony, and I was 17, so you had already growing up, with the disability. So I have kind of just two. One, you can probably answer real quick. Being in the chair, did that help or hurt in the sense of breaking more bones easily? Because when we think about the chair, you're a kid. Uh, when I was 17 to, probably when I realized stop falling, 30, I fell out of my chair so many times. So, wondering if that affect breaking a few of your bones. And then two, like myself, I was injured at 17, and there was nobody for peer support. There wasn't the programs and the people. And, with spinal cord, it helped a little bit. Eventually, boom, I met somebody else with a spinal cord. It's a lot more. Now, with your type of disability, it is far and few. And you didn't have this Facebook support groups, and, it was probably, 1,000 miles before you found somebody else like that. So if you can tell me both of those experiences and what it was like, growing up.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely would break my legs less from using the chair. But with that said, because I would break so easily, like just stupid stuff would break my leg. So I remember a couple times like getting my foot stuck, like it would slip off the pedal, get stuck in the tire, and like pull my leg in a way, and my leg would break. So like that happened like a bunch of times. So like the chair really didn't help in those instances. And then I don't remember breaking my arm. Well, no, I do. I broke my arm a couple times, like when I was using the chair. So, yeah, I would still break like from using the chair. It would. I'm assuming that it did help to lessen the times I would break because I wasn't, like walking and being pushed or something like that. But I would break. And then the other. What was the second part of your question? I'm so sorry.
So,
Oh, the support. Yeah. So I remember. Yeah. So, yeah, I only knew one other person with the same disability as me when I was a kid. Her name was Christina, and she had a more severe type. It was type 3. And so we were fortunate enough to kind of be there during elementary school, and then we changed schools and we lost contact. And then I didn't meet another person with OI until I was 42 years old. So it was that rare. And yes, Facebook was, again, it was a saving grace. Online internet got me connected to the community once I really kind of started embracing the community, which happened when I was 42. Because, during my 20s and 30s, I was totally in denial. I was that guy. So, the lack of not even knowing anybody that had OI definitely played into a lot of that because I didn't know how to navigate having OI. There was nothing, there was nobody with it, there was nobody talking about it. So, and I think that was part of the reason why I didn't even like consider myself to have it during those years. It was very much like, okay, well, I'm the only one that has this. I guess I don't have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be frustrating.
What I really find very amazing about you, Tony, is your attitude, your perspective. Um, you're a rather inspiring individual. I do want to talk to you kind of in more detail on how you kind of took your first unassisted steps and got to the point of regaining, your mobility and your function, and, living a healthier lifestyle. But I do kind of want to talk about like the mental strength that I is like very apparent in your character and your person when speaking to you, and kind of where that came. Do you think it came from, growing up through the adversity and, just having to like overcome and, gain and learn that strength? Um, what is your experience with that? I know you said, you probably have gone through some lows and, a lot of obstacles and adversity, but I just love this kind of like discovering your ability within your disability. We speak about a lot too, like how much strength can come from overcoming this adversity. If you are able to kind of like see the positives and learn from, like the struggle and the pain and the hardship, something unique and special is born from that and can be born from that is not otherwise gained or easily learned. So can you maybe speak on that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, it's absolutely an innate thing within me to want to learn and to want to grow. So I know throughout my life, I was always saying that I'm a positive thinker, that I like to look at the bright side of things. Just in general, I would try and do that as much as possible, and keep things lighthearted. Not get too, not let depression get to me too much. Try and do things that are fun. Try and be around my friends. Things like that. And so, I've always been into personal growth. Like as I got into my 20s and early 30s, especially, it was like, how do I just improve my life? How do I just get better? And not even really like dealing with my disability, just in general, overall, right? So as I started to go through changes, um, through other aspects of my life, then I realized, well, let me share my story of what happened, like in relation to my disability, because then that really is the bridge to it. So I was, trying to be positive, trying to improve life overall, but then I wasn't dealing with my disability. I was very much in denial. I was very much not doing things physically, and my health really went downhill. So I was gaining weight like crazy. I was always in pain. Even, once I started walking, I wasn't doing anything. I was always scared to do stuff. So I wouldn't do anything physical. And basically my health was going downhill. And then when I turned 40, I was like, well, it was basically right when I turned 42. And I had some stomach pain, and I was really going through it, man. And so I went to the doctor, and I had an EKG done. And the doctor comes back and says, "Oh, it looks like you might have had a small heart attack." And so I was like, "Oh my God, what is happening?" Right? Like that has nothing. It's not my disability. It's just my overall health, right? So at that point, I knew I had to do something different. I knew I had to change, right? And
Was
I
that
was
from
like,
depression? Was that from depression and anger, or just because you were scared?
yeah, I was scared. I was scared at that point, because my whole thing was like, well, I'm not dying now. There's no possible way, right? So the biggest thing for me at that point was like just trying to figure out, well, how do I change myself physically with this disability? So then I had to face what the disability was, my fragile bones, because all I knew about getting healthy was exercising, lifting weights, right? Like doing that sort of thing. And I'm like, well, shoot, I have this disability. I don't know if I can do it. So I had to go through the trenches of that, of like trying to figure out, okay, how do I embrace my disability to be able to use it in the right way to be able to get healthy? So there was that whole span of time where I was just trying to go through it mentally. And that's when I was like, well, let me take all these things I've learned about changing life, embracing change, looking at things differently, um, doing things differently in life, looking at the bright side of things, and how can now I apply it to my disability in the right way so that I can get healthy. So that was like the big thing that I had to learn and that I went through. And it worked because I did. I broke I really broke all these barriers that I had mentally about my disability. And I started pushing myself in the right way so that I could exercise and, eat differently. And like in 8 months, it took my transformation to happen. So I lost like 40 pounds, and I started running. I started jumping, which was something that I had always wanted to do and thought about, but never once ever thought I could. And so I started actually doing these things. And that was like the big thing. So then from that point on, that was like 10 years ago. From that point on, I'm like, man, there's nothing I can't do in life. So that's where that was like the final kind of nail in the, I don't want to say nail in the coffin. That was kind of, the final step for me to see that, man, you know what? If I can overcome that and like overcome the circumstances of that situation, there's nothing I can't do. And that's what led me to really start to go down this path of like trying to help others. Cause I'm like, shoot, if I can do it, I can help others do it too. And that's where the book came, and everything that I'm working on now has come from that.
And did you do it alone, or did you have help?
When I started working out, I hired a personal trainer. So I hired a personal trainer and went through working with him, and I found the right one, which was great because you got to find the right trainer.
Yep.
My wife has always been supportive, and she was always encouraging me to do stuff. She definitely gets credit for even planting the seeds of that physical change, because she always told me I could do more than I thought I could. And so she's been a huge inspiration and a huge help. So she was very supportive. And then I went through the process of like cleaning out the closet and like really finding the right people, creating my new set of friends and people that I wanted to be around. And I talk about that. I talk about that in the book, and when I do presentations and things, I talk about creating the team. So I kind of went through that whole process in like a year's worth of time, and then had to take it on myself. So yeah, it's been quite a journey, and I'm 10 years now, still doing it, and still evolving, still finding new ways to do it.
How did they go about tackling like exercising and stuff with OI and like working with the trainer and stuff? Like, where did you learn? Like, I mean, I'm sure exercising is different for someone with your condition. And how did you go about that? Was like the advent of the internet and like being able to access more information, like just making that easier, or like discovering and meeting somebody that was able to exercise well and successfully, or like what is it that's different about it too that kind of enabled you to get into that?
Well, when I started my journey, there was nobody else talking about it that has OI. And that was one of the main reasons I wrote the book and wanted to do what I'm doing, because when I was going through it, I was trying to research and I was trying to go to the OI groups on Facebook and other social media, and trying to meet some other people that were doing it. Nobody was really doing it. Nobody was really talking about it. It was almost like taboo, where it's like, you can't do that. Like, you're going to hurt yourself. And there was a lot of stories of people that were like, yeah, I got hurt as soon as I started exercising. And so I was like, well, wait, I can't deal with that. So when I started doing it, luckily, like I said, my trainer was smart enough, kind enough, and he went through his learning process about what my disability is about. So he was able to guide me with the exercises and really teach me properly how to do it the right way. So proper form, taking it step by step, progression, starting at the beginning, simple movements, and then just kind of progression from there. And so I had great guidance with him on the food front. My wife, again, she was very instrumental in, like, because she makes all my meals for the most part, and like, so she was very instrumental in like, all right, well, this is what we're gonna eat now. So and I was more willing to do it and eat what she would give me. So
Yeah.
my viewpoint on veggies changed, and but yeah, it was very much like that's the reason why I wrote my book, because I was like, well, there's no other resources for people with OI specifically. And even though it's rare, I know that there's a ton of people that want to talk about this. So even before I wrote the book, I started a Facebook group that is fitness and nutrition for OI. And like to this day, I've got like 1,200 people in there now. And even when I started it, people started jumping in, because then people started realizing, year after year, where it's like, oh, wait, this conversation is important and people do want to talk about it. So I've had great success with that, because now the bigger organizations and now everybody wants to talk about it. And it's great, because it's like, yes, we got the conversation going. People with OI can and should exercise and should lift weights and should do it. Of course, we got to do it properly, and there's a certain way, but the conversation is there now within my disability community, which is really great, because again, it wasn't there 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You are, with AI and, unfamiliar with it. So is everyone born with OI, and can it come on later on? And so, and I imagine if that's the case, you are born with it. It's probably kids that I can see where you can really make a difference by changing their lives. And one of the other things that I kept thinking of, you said you had a friend that was level 3. What's your level, and how do the levels go with OI?
That was my question too, Bobby.
Sorry,
Yes.
Shawn.
That's perfect.
So yeah, OI basically is it is genetic. It's passed down from your parents. We have a 50% chance of passing it on to our kids. Mine, and this happens as well, is a spontaneous mutation. Like I don't have any history of it in my family. So not that I know of. There could be, it could go way, way back and I just don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a spontaneous mutation because nobody close enough has had it. And most of the time, if you do get it genetically, like one of your parents will have it. So that's how it's kind of passed down, and you are born with it. And then also, as far as the types go, right now there's like 18 different types, and the types don't go by severity. So type 1 is kind of mild. Type 2 is what they consider like a lethal type of OI. Like children with OI usually are not born. They will die before they're born, right? And then type 3 is more severe, and then type 4 comes along and it's more like type 1 where it's mild, but it's kind of in between 3 and 1. And then all the types after that, they're just all over the place. So each time like a new type comes, it could be either like a more severe type or a more mild type. So they're all over the place. So when I talk about it, we can kind of start at a type, but it's really severity, because there's people with type 1 that have only broken maybe once or twice in their life. I've broken about 70, 75-ish. There's other type 1s that have broken maybe 150 times. So it's really just dependent on severity.
And there's
we see that in the SCI community too. I mean, like me and Bobby and Shawn are all pretty similarly leveled injured, but every spinal cord injury is like a fingerprint. Like there's lots of similarities, there's lots of differences, and just like small things. Like certain muscles that might hinder function a little bit more. Like sensory, information and stuff, like being able to feel but not being able to move and things like that. It's just there's like so many tiny little nuances, when describing, one's disability. So that's very interesting. Did it take them a long time to figure out your type? And once they kind of did figure out your type, what do you do? Is there any treatment? Do you take anything to help improve your bone strength, or is it just kind of a matter of writing it out? And does it get worse over time? Like how does it change over time?
Yeah, so it's usually you have genetic testing. When I was diagnosed, this was in the early 70s. So there was only 2 types back then. You were either type 1 tarda, they called it, or type 2, which was congenital, I think they called them. So those are the only 2 types. I was considered type 1 tarda, which meant like mild. And so nowadays, though, they do genetic testing, and then as far as treatments are concerned, there's different like these drugs they call bisphosphonates.
Yeah.
And those kind of came from the osteoporosis world, right, for older folks. So they started going into this thing of trying to help, and it does help kids with OI. They do bisphosphonate treatments to strengthen their bones through their childhood. So that can help to eliminate fracture rate. And that's kind of the main thing with the wires. It's like, well, let's just lower our fracture rate, because everyone's going to break, but we're just trying to lower the fracture rate. Yo, that was a rhyme. That was pretty good. So I'm like, yo, that rhymed. So that's kind of like the main goal. And then what I discovered at 42, when I went through this kind of thing, my own transformation, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Nutrition is huge, and exercise is huge, and then mindset is huge. So those 3 kind of things those are the 3 things that I've been really focusing on, not only as I age, but also encouraging younger OIers to start as soon as possible. I always say you're not too young to start, and it's not too late to start, because I'm helping a lot of older OIers as well, start to change their things now too, because a lot of the things and a lot of the communication and conversation in the OI community is like, And it sucks because it just comes from society in general where you're like, well, I'm 30, I'm old. And I'm like, dude, you're not old at 30. What are you talking about? Like, we got to stop saying this because, and then with OIers, it's even worse because then they feel they turn 30 and they feel like they're 50. And so like, just, it all starts in the mindset and the conversation. And then we can talk about, all right, well, how can we change we first change our attitudes, then we change our movement, then we change the foods that we eat. And guess what? Then now you're younger than you thought you could ever be. So, that's a big thing that I'm working on still, within my community. And then just in the disability community in general, just trying to get people to, get over that like number talk when it comes to age.
That's what I was going to actually bring up with the age. Do you know older people that are now maybe dealing with osteoporosis and things like that on top of the like just because like we were talking about aging with disability and crossing with disability and age. So is that a factor that you're running into or seeing at all in the community or are you worried about that in the future coming up?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely, it can be an added condition to deal with. I know like when I had an x-ray done of my hips like a few years ago, they were like, oh, you have some osteopenia in your hip, and which could lead to osteoporosis. And so I was like, oh, well, that could just be the OI maybe talking. I don't know. But, in the medical world, they're just seeing it for what it is, right? For what they know it is. I would love to actually, see more studies done about that because there has been talk like within our community of that, where it's like, okay, we may face osteoporosis, osteopenia, like as we get older. Is it increased because of the OI? Does it onset earlier because of the OI, right? So these are questions. We don't see any like trends. I don't see anything that's like, oh, well, once you turn 40, if you have OI, you start to develop osteoporosis. So there's nothing like that. I'm not too worried about it because again, I'm really focused on like keeping myself healthy and like avoiding it as much as possible. So, I'm not too worried about it for myself, at least.
And I have that belief with my exercise, my health, because within our spinal cord world, we don't, for example, 34 years in a chair, I've broken ankles, femurs twice, ankles twice, and the last ankle break, you're just like, just your bones are so brittle, now that you haven't been, and a lot of people do standing frames and those kind of, things, but even doctors still say, still it's not enough. So we go through that and we take some of those same medications. In the chat, a lot of people, or not a lot, but a few people were asking, and something I noticed on your website, is there a lot of pain when you are breaking your bones, and is it just painful just dealing with it? And I noticed, last thing you can touch on is tell us about that pain course you have. So
Yeah, definitely lots of pain for sure with the breaks. But we've even discussed this within the community. We definitely have a higher tolerance for pain. So like, I know for me, even, as time went on, like I could break something and it would be like, oh, I broke my leg again. And it would be kind of painful, but at the same time, it was like, it is what it is. Take some Tylenol 3 and I'll be okay. So, that was kind of like that's what happens. On the other side of the spectrum, unfortunately, a lot of OIers do deal with like chronic daily pain, and situations where they're just unhealthy and having to deal with pain. So they're relying on pharmaceuticals. And, I'm a big proponent for not going that route. I'm like, just find something natural that, do things that you can do that you don't have to go that route because, a lot of addiction happens there. So that's an issue. So that's why I created the Reduce Pain in 28 Days course. So yeah, it's an online course. And, I basically put together the methods that I've been able to use to not have pain anymore. So I don't have daily pain, and I used to every single day. And so, and I would always take Tylenol and Advil. Those are like the heaviest that I would take for my pain relief. But after going through my transformation and understanding how exercise can eliminate pain, how movement can actually eliminate pain, certain foods can eliminate pain through reducing inflammation and whatnot. And then again, a lot of the mindset stuff that we go through can help to eliminate pain as well. So that's what the course is about. It's about really, it's 4 weeks worth of study. And, through that, I call it reduce pain in 28 days because, we may eliminate some, but no matter what, we're going to reduce some. So it's a great course. If anybody wants to check it out, you can find it on my website.
I know you have to tell me the 28, but what are a couple of those things that
Say again.
you don't have to give me the full course here, but what are some of the strategies that you give in the course?
Well, I talk about it in 3 sections. So it really is like the mindset, the movement, and the nutrition. So when it comes to the mindset, just understanding like the pain cycle and what that means, where it's like getting yourself out of the thoughts around pain. When pain happens and then we get depressed and we start thinking negatively, then that can lead to more injury, and then that can lead to more pain and like just kind of this pain cycle. So I kind of talk about that. When it comes to the food, it's really kind of breaking down nutrition and saying, looking at different foods that'll reduce inflammation. That's the big thing, good fruits and veggies, and looking at not eating the inflammatory foods. So I go through that, and then when it comes to the movement, it's really I cover proper exercise where it's like, okay, what can you do with even if you are having pain, right? What are the differences between pain that you have from exercise? Because when you exercise, you actually, you're putting your body through something where you're going to experience some pain. But to know the difference between that pain and like maybe your chronic pain that you're having, so that you can still kind of push through and start to move in ways that can help with flexibility, mobility, and just exercise in general. It releases all the good chemicals in your brain, so you start to feel better. You actually do feel better if you stay consistent with exercise. That's a big thing as a coach. I tell people all the time, and you gotta work out, but you have to continue to work out. You can't just do it 1 week. You gotta do it over time, because then you can really see the benefits. So that's kind of like what's entailed in what's in the course.
Yeah, just one shout out to our friend. See, Sarab, that's what you need to do. Not just 1 week, but keep continuing on it, and he knows he's out there.
Consistency is key.
Let's shout out some of the other awesome Liptrol fam in the chat. I just want to say thanks to Erica, Roy, and Rose. I hope you guys are doing great. Miss Olivia and Mickey, Sue Rob, Donna and Velma were in here earlier. Goldman saying what up. And I just want to say thank you to everybody for being here, for participating in the chat. Mr. Donald Brown, hello to you. And if you guys do have any questions or anything you'd like us to maybe discuss or touch on in the next 20, 30, 40 minutes, let us know, because we're more than happy to segue and freestyle on some questions too. What's up, Daryl? But yeah, we just want to say appreciate all you guys being here and hanging out for such an awesome conversation. And just to kind of speak on what we were talking about a little bit more, give you guys some perspective. Tony does a lot in the way of workshops and online courses that are accessible to you. I'm sure we have Tony's link in the description of the video to his website. If not, we'll make sure to add that by the end of the show.
I have the one from the Instagram that has like all of his links. So it's like the multi-link. It's got so you can click on it and it'll open up to buy his book, to the website and everything. So
check it out. I encourage you guys to go follow him on Instagram too, because he posts a lot of information about all these courses and workshops that you guys can join and hopefully learn and gain something. Tony just had one a couple weeks ago, and it was on discovering the power in your disability, which I think is a beautiful thing. It's something that we talk about a lot here in Live to Roll, and it's honestly something I think about and have thought about a lot. Are we even kind of communicating this idea effectively? Because I don't know, I think especially earlier on in your disability, or even later on, points where you're struggling and you're down and you're having a hard time and dealing with a lot of the obstacles and the struggles that disability can present in front of you, it can be really hard to hear that and to feel that. I was taking a class in anthropology when I was in junior college, and something that I learned about in a lot of indigenous cultures early on, is the shamans or the leaders of the tribes are often individuals who either had disabilities or had overcome disability within their life. And I thought it was an interesting thing. It kind of came at me sideways, like in this class, and the teachers spoke on it kind of in a very broad way on how overcoming adversity, overcoming your disability, overcoming these obstacles that not everybody maybe has to overcome in their life, does offer a lot of strength. It can teach you patience. It can teach you perspective, which I think is, one of the most difficult things to learn in life, and understanding other individual struggles and, other individuals' perspectives, and being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, and, or at least, understand, if you aren't able to put yourself in their shoes, maybe a little bit of what they're going through, and be able to empathize and understand in a way that few others can. Um, the ability to problem solve and, tackle and understand and overcome in ways that I think, problem solving is one of the few skills that a lot of people struggle with, and it's very difficult to learn. But, by nature of living with your disability and overcoming those obstacles and learning how to live and navigate life, through a different means, it does offer you this incredible set of skills that I think is so powerful and can be so beneficial to others and other individuals. Now, seeing and hearing and learning these things are, it's one thing to hear it, and it's another thing to live it and go through it and to learn it. And I think that, there's really only one way to do that, and that is to live life and to overcome some of the stuff and go through the struggle. But if you are able to, when you do, coming out on the other side, you can have such a power and such a strength and such an ability that, very few, I think, maybe have in their tool set. Now, Tony, with your workshop and with your experience, all that you've overcame and learned and changed in your life, can you just speak on that too? Maybe a little bit about the workshop and just, your perspective on that?
Man, you summed it up really good. You really summed it up. It's really true. I am a firm believer in understanding the power and the beauty in our broken times, right? And it really takes the number one thing I always encourage people to be is willing. You have to be willing to look at things differently. Willingness, it's the first chapter in my new book, by the way, that I talk about, because that's where it all starts to change. And going through our adversities, going through our challenges, especially, with disabilities, that's why I encourage people to write your book, write your stories, share your stories, talk about it. Because it is something different. It's something different for each of us. We all have that through line of having a disability, which is very different than other people that have other adversities in common. Maybe it's addiction, right? There's people that have gone through that challenge. There's people that go through financial challenges, relationship challenges, etc. But having a disability brings, a whole bunch of different layers of challenges, adversity, ways to problem solve, and think differently. But it all boils down to your willingness to make a change. Because the bottom line is we all want to be happy. We all want to be happy. We all want to be satisfied. We all want to have what we need in life to live an unbreakable life, I like to say. And so that's the point for everybody. Nobody wants to be in the trenches. I'm a firm believer in, you're going to go through a trench, but get out of the trench as soon as you can. And so that's where I swoop in. I swoop in. I'm gonna pull you up out of the trench. We're not gonna spend any time in there. I'm not one for the pity party, and I talk about that a lot. I'm like, don't invite me to your pity party. You don't want me there because I'm gonna pull you out of the party. We're gonna go somewhere else because we're gonna enjoy life. And so, but I think it is very important for people to understand the power that is in disability too, because society's trying to say they're trying to say something else. Society's going to say something else. People are going to say something else. Shoot, your family might say something else. The people that are around you might say something else. They're going to put limitations on you. They're going to put their definitions of what your disability means to the world. They're going to put their definitions on you and try and make you think of that way. I went through that when I was growing up. I was always told to be careful, right? That's a huge one for me. Be careful, Tony. Be careful, Tony. Be careful, Tony. Guess what? I grew up thinking be careful. And that's what happened to me when I turned 20 and 30. I was being careful too much. And so I was living the life that everyone kind of put on me through those early years. And then what did it end up doing? It ended up being a bad thing for me because then I ended up being real unhealthy. So I wasn't living my full potential because I was listening to someone else. So it took me a while, but I realized there's power in what I've been through. There's power in overcoming those challenges. I never overcome my disability. Like, we're never going to get rid of the disability, right? Even the title of my book was controversial when some people were hearing it for the first time. And I was saying, well, I'm not saying get rid of your disability. What I'm saying is we're just disabling it. We're putting the brakes on it for a little bit. We're just going to embrace it and look at it a little differently. So that's kind of my philosophy when it comes to that. When it comes to finding the power in it, finding the strengths in it, always looking at what you can do instead of what you can't do. That's another big thing. If you focus on the things you can do, your life's going to be so much better. You're going to be so much happier, and things are going to be so much easier for you as well. So,
And
gosh,
I would even go so far as to say what opportunities that it opens up for you too, that other individuals maybe want to have the virtue of the experience of going through. And I don't know, it sounds crazy sometimes, because like what experience or what door could a disability open for you? But I think it's vast and many and infinite in the opportunities that it opens to be positive influence in the lives of others, maybe a motivating force in the lives of others. You can teach and offer perspective, I think, to so many individuals, disabled or not, and like navigating life, if only by virtue of living your life, with a smile on your face, and just being an example of not letting these limitations limit you in any significant way. We are so fortunate to be living in such a time with the technology that we have, and the culture and the society that we have, that is seemingly so embracing of individuals with disabilities and wanting to improve accessibility and inclusion and equitability between all peoples and stuff. We are very fortunate and blessed to be able to be a part of that, be able to be a positive force, positive influence on that movement. And I don't know. I just think it can be such a powerful thing. And I, I feel what you said too, and that, like, disable your disability, like that. I could see how individuals could maybe read that and take it the wrong way, but it's not so much getting rid of it or ignoring it, but just what you said, Tony, fully embracing it, embracing the beauty and the strength in it that it offers, and not having the perspective of the limitations and what is lost, and like what you're missing out on, versus like the doors that it opens and the opportunity and the perspective that can be gained from it. And it sounds crazy to say, but like the blessing it can be, um, instead of the curse that I think many viewers see it as. And don't get me wrong, people. I'm not all sunshine and joy all the time. Like I certainly struggle, like just like anybody does. But I really do try to pay attention to the benefits and the strengths that, my disabilities help me achieve, and to, not lose sight of that too. And, like, make that choice. Make that choice every day. And sometimes I fail. Very often I fail. And like, making that choice to put the smile on my face, to, see the glass half full, to, be positive and be, what I want to be. I always say, like, doesn't matter if you're successful or not as long as you're trying, and that's what it really comes down to is, just trying it, embracing it. Nothing's going to change overnight. Like, nothing is going to, be fixed tomorrow. But, I promise if you try every day, even on the days you fail, you're gaining progress. You're gaining ground. You're gaining strength. And, you're gaining. As long as you're trying, and as long as you're pushing yourself. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like to say that failing isn't failing. It's literally just learning what not to do next. I mean, that's the whole point. Like, you can try some, and if it don't work, you just figured out what you're not supposed to do. So then you do it a different way. But yeah, you got to keep on trying, and you got to quickly change that thought. And that's the biggest thing. Like, yes, we all have challenges. We all have that moment of like, what the F, right? But as soon as you can learn to change that thought, and the faster you can change that thought, that's what I'm talking about. Because you don't want to sit in that. You don't want to sit in that, because then that's just going to breed more of that, and it's going to bring about to you more of that like negativity and stuff. So you really got to just work on making sure that you know exactly how to change that thought. What is it that'll change it for you? Someone in the comments had mentioned, you got to get the people around you to support you, and that's a big thing that I always talk about. Yeah. Surround yourself with people who see the brighter side of things. And that's huge, because a lot of people have friends that will immediately just be like, yeah, man, that sucks, dude. And then you're like, there's no chance. There's no chance to change your thought at that point, because misery loves company, as we know. And like, as soon as people start to gather around that, that's what just stays in the conversation. So, I choose to be the light. Tom, you choose to be, I'm sure all of you choose to be that light at that moment for other people. Even if you're feeling a little down, if you see someone down, you're like, hey man, it's all good. Let's go. What do you want to do? And you pick someone up. And I think that's important.
I saw on your website about your Smarter Goals course, and as I've been a professional peer mentor for a long time, and we taught SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and on time, and that is such a huge part of my life, and has been since before my injury as an American, All-American athlete, and then after my injury, it was always about those goals. And so now I see an E and an R, I'm not a little familiar. So, I think this goes in line with what we were, Tom brought up, and what you're finishing up is, tell us about your Smarter goals and what that course attains.
Yeah, the SMART goals, it's a quick online like little webinar for folks to check out. I did it last year, like at the end of the year, because now at the end of the year, I try and get people together to talk about goals for the new year. So I kind of put that together, and I talk about smarter goals in the book. It kind of came from that too. The E and the R, so we know what SMART means, but the E stands for energize. It has to be a goal that like actually excites you and energizes you. That's something that is kind of missing that I thought. And then the R stands for reward, because you got to reward yourself along the way. Otherwise you lose motivation, and you lose kind of that oomph to keep on going. So that's what the E and the R means when I say smarter goals. Because when you set a smarter goal, you got to say, first of all, it's got to be something that gets you hyped up, where you're like, okay, yeah, I really want to make this happen. And then, what am I going to reward myself? When I achieve this goal, I'm getting something for this. Of course, look, when you achieve the goal, especially I relate it to like fitness and physical stuff. So no matter what, you're going to feel better, right? You're going to definitely feel better, and you're going to achieve, and you're going to reward yourself. But it's always good to have something else where it's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to buy myself a new Adidas tracksuit when I achieve this goal. I'm going to get, I'm going to buy myself a new hat, like whatever it is. Like, just give yourself some sort of reward, because, just as human beings, we love to be rewarded when we achieve things. So it's just an added benefit that will help you.
I love it. I love it. And
That sounds awesome. That's
yeah. Do you have any questions, Sean?
no, I like that. I like the smarter goals. I like his ER extra. That's a good. I like that. So,
I do
well,
want to just a comment too. Goldman earlier said some of these trenches run deep with a couple extra
yeah, I
E's.
know.
And I feel you, Goldman. I even hesitate to call them trenches because I fell into some chasms 26 years ago. That I'm still working my way, climbing my way up and out. And that is the nature of certain things. Is that we aren't maybe going to be able to climb out, in an hour or a day or a week or even a month or a year. It's something that we've got to work on our entire life and maybe forever.
Yeah.
And that is just the nature of things. Like I still I feel like I lose progress sometimes too. Maybe I'm pulling my way up, and I miss a hold and I fall back down, and I got to start over again, and that's okay. And it's just kind of the nature of some of these things. Like I have been fluctuating with my mental health, and I have my entire life. Um, Part of that, I think is very related to, my disability and, maybe some of the struggle presented with that. And then, other parts of it is just like inherent in, navigating life and growing as a person and, dealing with some of the struggle that it presents. But, it's just what we said, like, it's totally okay to, be, as long as you're slugging through the trench still. And that is it. It's like, as long as you, even if it's a baby step, it's still a step forward, even if you fail, just like what Olivia said in the chat, as long as you're failing forward, as long as you're learning something from that. So the next time, you try to get a leg up on the trench, like, at least you know maybe a little bit better path to take moving forward. And, you can gain a little bit of progress that way. And, that's all it is. And, just what Tony said too, make sure you love yourself and you reward yourself for the progress you make, and realize that it's never too late either. I mean, just like what Tony said, like and I wanted to talk about it more, is like taking that first like independent ambulatory step, like after unassisted, after
Yeah.
24 years. That's incredible. Like I didn't do my first independent transfer until 16 years after my injury was onset. Like I had lived my entire life having somebody pick me up and lift me into bed, or help me transfer, to any surface that, I chose to, move to. But it's, I, I realized I wanted to move out and, push myself to be independent and stuff. And, part of that thought was like, oh my God, like, is it too late? Like, have I waited too long to do this, to try to attain this strength, to try to learn how to do, some of these things? And turns out it wasn't. Turns out, like it opened the doors to like the life that I dreamed about, and the life that I continue to dream about and want to pursue and push myself to achieve. And like learning and realizing that it wasn't too late. That I had all the time in the world to get strong and learn the skills that I wanted to. It just really came down to motivating myself and pushing myself and failing forward 1,000 times before I was finally able to do it once by myself. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like I can do it, like and realizing that, and it is just one of those things. Some of these things, it takes a lifetime to learn, and through the strength to overcome. But like that's okay. We can continue to motivate ourselves and reward ourselves, as we learn and grow and get stronger. And yeah, love yourself and reward yourself for the small successes you do gain too. And know that as deep as that trench might feel, as long as you're making progress, you're winning, you're succeeding, and that's all that matters.
One of the biggest things I like to tell people is make sure you have compassion for yourself. You can't beat yourself up if you feel like you're failing, because a lot of people will do that. When you try some, it doesn't work. Immediately, people are like, "Oh man, I was dumb for doing that. I was stupid for doing that." Like those are thoughts and words you shouldn't be using. You can't beat yourself up if you don't do something the right way. You still got to understand that you're at least trying, and you just learned again. You just learned a way not to do it. So that's a big part of it. It's all about the words, man. Words are so powerful in how we interact with the world and how we, take on each single day. So it's really, we're always a work in progress, no matter what. We're going to be a work in progress until our last breath. We're always learning something new. We're continuously evolving. For myself, like you were talking about, Tom, when I took my first unassisted steps, right? I thought like that was it. Dude, I did it. Oh my God. This was like, it was amazing. The feeling was amazing. I was scared. I was unsure. I was doubtful, but I was excited. And I was like, like a brand new person because now I had to learn how to navigate the world on my feet. And so it was so crazy, right? But at the same time, I still had all my mental stuff dealing with being careful and being scared of breaking. So yeah, I had this big breakthrough, but then I realized, oh wait, I still have a lot of work to do. And so we're always a work in progress, and there's always going to be something new for us to learn. And so for me, it took 20 years and getting like really unhealthy and just not feeling good for me to get to that next phase at 42, where it was like, oh wait, here's a brand new transformation for me to go through that's even bigger than the one I went through when I was 24. And so you just never know when it's going to happen, but just understand that it will happen. And you do have that opportunity. And we all have that opportunity to be able to evolve and change and become better. I call it personal peak performance. We all have the ability to reach our own personal peak performance. And that's ever evolving and changing. And don't compare yourself to others. You're on your own path and you can do it.
It's like one thing that I always say to myself is learn how to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get back on that bicycle again. From time to time, I've, had these lots of setbacks, and especially the ones that, would be wanting to break me and break my soul and break my, spirits and confidence, and where you just don't know if you can go on after, especially after the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, and just recently going through, something with a heart complication that almost killed me, but every time I get through a point, it's all right. It's dust myself off. You're okay. Let's take the one step at a time, those SMART goals, and let's continue. And I think that's something huge that we all can learn. And you start out small, and there's a couple of techniques I have, with meditation, and then getting back online, because this is a beautiful world, that we have right now, of accessing just about anything. And there's another gentleman I used to join his class or his just online workout, and that's how I start. And I did it many times. And I see that you got your adaptive fitness club, and you coach, and so I'm sure that yourself, even after 42, have gone through some of these setbacks, especially when it comes to businesses and trying to, like, how am I going to do all this, and get to that point.
Yeah, I've definitely. So like after my transformation, I realized, well, it is a roller coaster. Like there is going to be ups and downs, and I've gained weight back. I've lost weight again. I'm never going to get back to where I was before. That's first of all. But, because I'm very aware of where I'm at. And yeah, I became a coach. I was like, well, if I'm going to help other people, I need to do it legit. So let me go get the training. Let me figure out how to do this. Let me figure out how to run it as business, get it right, make sure I'm helping people the right way. And that's been a big motivation for me. But at the same time, every coach needs a coach. So I'm constantly looking for other people to inspire me and motivate me too. Because, I get into my thing where I'm like, well, I don't feel like working out today. But, I think about my wife is big into exercise. So I look at her and she's like, oh, she's working out. Okay, well, I'm going to work out today. So whatever it takes to like give yourself that little extra push too. For anybody that's, helping others, yeah, of course, we have our times too where we're like, well, we need a little help too. We need a little motivation and a little extra push or a pull, actually, a little extra pull. But you definitely have to have that inward motivation and inspiration to be able to just light that match, like light that spark. Like you need that willingness, you need that little something in you to say, well, I need to do something. And I think that's a big thing that, people just kind of have to get in touch with themselves, is like just having that piece where it's like, yeah, you know what? I should do something here. What is it? And then go and find the answer. Go and get connected with somebody or somewhere to just start getting into action. Being in action is like the number one thing.
Yeah, and that's, I use the the technology of a personal goal, but got to get my rings, every day. What can I do to get it, unless it's a rest day? And really looking at it, and it motivates me. I didn't need anybody but it in my face saying, yep, if that ring isn't circled all the way around, it's because of me. We got about, almost 10 minutes to wrap up here. In the chat, they want to hear about the other side of your life, a little DJ, and requesting a little wiki, wiki, wiki. Any chance we can get something?
Man, it's all set up. Like I don't have it like plugged in or anything right now. It's just kind of sitting back here. But
do
yeah,
you do music? Is there somewhere we could find it?
Yeah. On my website, if you go to under resources, or I'm sorry, under programs, you'll see a page called music. So on there, I've been DJing since I was a teenager. So I've been DJing for a lot of years. And recently, like when the pandemic started, of course, a lot of DJs went online. So I also did as well, but I found a great outlet to be able to do it. And I started doing a weekly mix show called the Unbreakable Mix Show. And it was basically combining all of my loves, where it was like, okay, I can DJ, I can do motivational talks, and I can get people motivated to move. So it was all about music, movement, and motivation, where it was like every single week I would spin, it would be an hour. Well, it was 2 hours when I started. So I play for 2 hours. I would do like every show would have a theme, and I would do a motivational kind of little talks throughout the show. And then just encourage people to get moving and play some music that would get you moving and grooving. So I was doing the Unbreakable Mix Show for a couple of years, and I think I'm gonna be bringing that back in 2024 because I'm kind of missing doing it more often. But yeah, I still DJ. I still pop up on my Twitch channel every once in a while to do little pop-ups and play. But yeah, I've been DJing. I did hip hop music. I'm a rapper as well, so I was an MC for many years. I still am, I guess. You never outgrow that. But yeah, I released albums, and my wife and I did music together. We called Dynamite Jive. So we released, I think, 4 independent hip hop records. And so yeah, that was my life before kind of the motivational stuff.
Well, it sounds like from our
That's
audience,
really cool.
got to get back to it in 2024. And I think I'll have a few listeners from our family here.
Yeah, definitely come through. And if you're on Twitch, definitely follow me there, because that's like the place where I can actually play music and not get kicked off. Like usually all the other platforms, you can't really like play much. But and it's not safe for work stuff. Like I'm an old school hip hop head, so I play old school hip hop, R&B. That's kind of like my wheelhouse. But I'll also play a lot of electronic and house and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm kind of all over the place when it comes to music. But that's the skill I possess, is being able to like go through genres and years and just get you moving.
Is that something? Did you get into music as a kid? Is that one of the? Because I know like that was one of the things you talked about, getting into more movies and art, like stuff like that, being creative. So is that something you got into young?
Yeah, I was doing music like the neighbor, a kid that used to live across the street. Him and I started a group when we were like, I was like 9 and he was 11, and we would play on the family. We had an organ in the living room, so we would create songs. And then I started playing drums when I was like 12 or 13. And so I got into drumming. And then once hip hop came, that was it. Because then I was like, oh man, I could like do electronic drums. And then I started getting into DJing, and that was, mid 80s. And then I just started creating music after that. I started rapping at that time and just started creating music, released a ton of like mixtapes and singles and records on my own and with different groups. And so yeah, I've been doing music like for so many years.
That's
Yeah, that's
awesome.
awesome.
You can still
I'm
hear
old
everything
school.
if you go to your favorite streamer and look up Dynamite Jive, like you'll find us on there, so you can like listen to some of our stuff.
Dynamite Jive. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna follow you on Twitch. I'd love to catch a live DJ set. I'm a old school hip hop head myself. I don't
Yeah,
make
man.
music, I rap, but I'm a huge fan of the genre. And yeah, definitely love to check it out. Just yeah, kind of as we approach the end here, I just want to touch on a comment. I think he already had it out, but one of my favorite commenters, the Angry Quad, said, "Self motivation is key. However, a rather elusive beast." And yes, that is very true statement, Angry Quad. I struggle with that a lot myself. I think everybody does to a certain extent. It's the easiest thing in the world to not do. And sometimes it's the hardest thing in the world to do, and I think that state, that quote, whatever, like, you can be your own worst enemy. At least that is very true for me, because I'm the first one and the worst one to get down on myself, and it can be one of the hardest things that I've ever tried to do or learn to do is to change the narrative in my head. Not always able to do so by myself. I am very blessed and fortunate to have a lot of amazing people that show me a lot of love and give me a lot of love and help me feel that and remember that. But it is a tough thing. It can be the easiest thing to get down on yourself and the hardest thing to glow yourself up. Like I'll give 100 compliments to 100 strangers before I can give one to myself. And I don't know why that is. It's something that I really try to work on as an adult and, learn to change. And, like a lot of days I do really great. And some days I don't do so great. It's just one of those things. But, sometimes I take a note out of Angry Quad's book and get a little pissed off. And, sometimes like the anger can motivate me, push myself to, like get up and overcome and get out of bed and get into some sunshine and to tackle the things that I need to do during the day rather than, get down on myself and, like motivate myself in the other direction. But, it's just what we talked about this whole show. It is an easy thing. But, learning and finding the strength is, a special thing. And no matter how long it takes or, no matter how long that road is, as long as you continue to put one foot in front of the other and work hard and, give yourself credit and love for the times you succeed and, even give yourself credit and love for the times you fail. Just don't forget to do that. One thing we like to do, Tony, at least I like to do at the end of the show, is if you have any advice, general advice for anybody out there who might be struggling, get a lot of newly injured individuals who are dealing with disability for the first time who come across these shows. Do you have any general advice or anything you'd like to say you can offer to these individuals or anybody
Yeah.
listening?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, Wheelie, awesome adventures. You're very welcome. It's my pleasure to be here. I would say get connected with your community. That is the number one thing. The more connected I'm getting with not only my disability community, but with the disability community in general, the more powerful I am becoming as an individual. And that's important because you're not only empowering yourself, but you're being part of a team and you're helping everybody else along the way. So get connected because then that's also going to play into that motivation. When you're not feeling motivated for the day, when you're feeling down, you absolutely have someone that you can connect with that's gonna be there for you. And find the right community. Find the community that's gonna lift you up. Find the community that's gonna uplift you and be that voice for you. And another piece of advice I'd like to give is just, when you're struggling, when you're challenged with feeling like you can't accomplish something, just understand you're accomplishing things every single day. You are doing something every single day. Look at your smallest achievements from yesterday, and you will see that you do have the ability to achieve. So just look at that and let that be your motivation. If that's the little seed that can then take you to the next level, because we are all achieving things and great things every single day. So just look at those things and focus on them, and just know that whatever it is you're faced with now, it's gonna, it will pass. Time will heal all those wounds. So yeah, definitely. That's what I'd like to end with.
That was
Great.
awesome, Tom.
Yeah.
And that mantra, "This too shall pass." It's something that I think is like wisdom we only can attain later in life, and understanding that the heavy, dark stuff that we struggle with, it will pass. This too shall pass eventually, and you're gonna have grown and be stronger, and have benefited from going through that experience. As hard, as difficult it may seem in the moment. So thank you. That was really awesome and beautiful, Tony. I just want to make sure we plug everything. We're going to thank our sponsors real quick, and then we're just going to plug everything that Tony's got. And there's a lot of awesome, accessible content online, just like Live to Roll, for you guys to enjoy. But real quick, let's just say thank you to mobility professionals and urology professionals, for whom we would not be operating after these last 3 awesome years. Doing this stuff together, doing these live shows. Mobility Pros, they are a durable medical equipment company out here in Southern California. Any kind of rehabilitation equipment, from wheelchairs, standing frames, shower chairs, and the like. If you find yourself in this area and in need of those, I really encourage you to go check out Mobility Professionals. They will just help make sure you're independent and functional, and the best equipment to support that independence and function. And they're awesome company that is of the community, has individuals with disabilities that work, there, and truly do make an effort to understand and better improve your life through what they do. And similarly, Urology Professionals, it's a national company, so anywhere in the United States of America, if you find yourself needing catheter supplies, urological supplies, give them a call. Nobody, regardless of your insurance, should want or need. If you need catheters, you should have access to them. And urology professionals will help you navigate the healthcare side, get you samples or supplies in the interim, and are just really amazing in getting you what you need and helping maintain your bladder health. So go give them some love and let them know Live to Roll sent you. And go follow I Am Tony Jacobsen. Go check out his website. Make sure to get a copy of the book, Disable Your Disability. And there's a whole lot of workshops that Tony has on his website, but also ones that you can attend moving forward. Please forgive me if I'm getting this date wrong. I think it's on October 24th at
It's the
7 p.m.
26th, Thursday, October 26th.
So sorry about that. Thursday, October 26th. What time?
It's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard, and it's Write Your Disability Story. I encourage everybody to come and be a part of this workshop. I've learned a lot from writing my book. I understand the power in what a book can do as far as getting your voice out there, getting your story out there. And it's not just about a book. It's just literally helping you find that story that you need to tell. And so through our disability, like we've learned, like we see even through what we're all doing here, there's a lot of power in it. There's a lot of things that we can make change in the world with by sharing our story. So in the workshop, I talk about that. Like, how do we find that story that we need to tell? And then as you get into the brass tacks of like how to do it. So we really get into it. And we even have a little writing assignment. So please come be a part of that. You can check everything out on my website on the classes page, and you'll see all the other things that I've got going on there.
Bobby and I will for sure be in attendance. I think Shawn might be living that
I'm actually
fabulous
leaving for
life
Switzerland on
in
Sunday. I'll be gone. I'll be in Switzerland. So
Enjoy that. Enjoy that. I might join you. Maybe I'm gonna have to reschedule because I might join you in Switzerland.
Well, if we all don't end up in Switzerland, I promise you it'll be a time you'll regret missing if you end up, and it'll be a awesome time to come and hang out and learn something. I love to write. I think writing is a healthy thing for oneself. And who knows, you might be like Alexander Hamilton in the future. And, so many other people will have benefited from, being able to read about, your life story and, the experiences you've gone through and, what you've learned from them, could so much be in the benefit of others. And, if only it's a benefit to yourself, it's worth doing and organizing your thoughts and, just putting down what you have to say in a concrete way. What Tony said, I think it's just can be a magical thing, if only for yourself, but definitely for the benefit of others too, because that's the power of putting your words down on paper, as others can you know consume and learn something too. But this has been great. One for the books. It's been a really awesome show. And we have our friend Jeff just came in with
Yeah,
a
just right at the
$50
end
super
here.
chat. Jeff, we really appreciate you, dude.
Yo, can I
You-
give y'all the
Oh,
let's go. Come on.
Damn, all right. See, we need to get that going. Dang it. All right, that's the next.
We do have one, Shawn. You have to play. You do have one.
I have the built-in ones.
Yeah, let's go.
Uh,
But
And,
yeah, thank you, Jeff. We appreciate that.
we appreciate it so much, dude. It's it means the world. The love and support, not just you, Jeff, but all the Literal fam you guys show. We appreciate it so much, and your support and encouraging us to continue to do this and try to be in service and benefit of our community and others. It does like feed all of our hearts and all of our souls in an immeasurable way. And it's because of you guys we keep doing it every week and are going to continue to. So thank you guys. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Tony. We
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you,
dude.
Tony, for coming
I hope
on.
that this is the start of many other awesome shows together we have with you. And I really look forward to checking out some of the workshops and continue to stay in touch because you're such an awesome, amazing guy. We really appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys so much, and I really I enjoyed my time. It is everything that I expected it to be and more. So thank you so much. And anytime you want to have me back, I would definitely love it. And I'm going to make sure you guys are a part of things that I'm working on in the future as well.
I
Awesome.
love it.
And to everybody watching, thank you so much to everybody watching.
thank you.
Goldman 511, thank you. I appreciate you, everybody that's in the chat.
Yeah, a lot of people
Darren.
definitely did thank you and are appreciative of you.
Yeah.
And yeah, that really was a great show. Great talk. I would love to see one of your motivational speeches because you are you're a great speaker and just really well just
Well spoken, inspiring individual, Tony.
better than me apparently. So.
Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all.
I got you, Shawn. I have a little mental line to Shawn's head sometimes. Just step in, help him out. But Shawn is headed off to Switzerland on Sunday, so Bobby and I are going to be holding down the Tuesday show on our own for the first time in the 3 years that we've been doing Live to Roll. So it's going to be a little sad and melancholy in a certain sense that Shawn's not going to be there, but we're also going to be drunk on power and being in control of the show and being able to do what we want with it for a change. So it's going to be a fun one no matter what. So make sure to come and join us next Tuesday at 3:30 like always. We're going to be missing Shawn, but we're going to try to deliver to you guys in the same way and have some fun. I am afraid I'm going to have to postpone the gaming tomorrow night to Thursday this week. I'm just got a crazy day tomorrow, and I don't think I'm going to be
Thursday.
available.
We'll do that.
But it's going to be Thursday at 5 p.m. Come and join us for some adapted gaming. We have an incredible crew, lots of fun, and it's going to be a fun one this week. And I think we also have a women's show this Thursday. Shawn?
Yep, the women are on this Thursday. They'll be back on. Brianna and Nikki, Ashley, Maya, Jessica, all the main girls that are on. And they do a great show. They'll have a great topic for you Thursday. And then, next week, these guys are going to be on their own. So we'll see. And even on the Thursday, Bobby has the Rolling Over the Hill. he's solo on that too. So
Yeah. We have
Darren said it. Hit the
between us.
like button, everybody. Make sure to share this video, and if you feel so inclined to do so, and make sure to subscribe too. Hit that little notification bell right next to the subscription button if you haven't. That way you'll be notified when we go live 3 times a week, every week, for your guys' entertainment and pleasure. Yeah,
Can
Tom?
I just put something out there? Let me just
Yeah.
manifest something really quickly. I see in the future me DJing a Live to Roll event somewhere in person, online. Maybe I'm
Yes.
providing the tunes. I don't know, but I'm feeling it. So
that
I'm
sounds
just
like
speaking something right now. So
we
let
should
me just put that
definitely
out
put
there.
that into existence. Let's make that happen.
Yeah.
I like that too. We all will start to manifest. But it's been great. Appreciate everybody.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you all, and we'll see you next time. Live to roll, everybody.
Live to roll.
Peace.